Welcome to Demon Sleep. I'm here to help you unwind tonight. If you enjoy this space, feel free to like and subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. It makes this feel like a shared night across the world. These stories are different and I'm glad you're here. Dim the lights, let the room settle, and let's begin. Story 1: True Paranormal. Imagine for a moment that you're lying on your bed. It's nighttime, a cold winter night. In winter, the fans are turned off, and when everything is shut, the silence becomes overwhelming. In that stillness, you can even hear the ticking of the clock in your room. Tick, tick, tick. That's how quiet it is. Now imagine that in this silence, you start hearing footsteps moving around in your courtyard. Just think how terrifying that would feel. And when you know for a fact that at this hour no one from your family is outside, everyone is asleep indoors, can you imagine the level of fear? There are stories like this that people share with me, and I share them with you. There are people who constantly experience these kinds of paranormal activities. Let's move toward today's stories. If you get scared easily, recite Ayatul Kursi. Turn on the lights in your room. And if you're alone, try to listen with your family if possible. Recite Ayatul Kursi if you feel afraid. Because it's said that when we talk about these beings, they take great interest and come very close to us, listening to our words. So, to avoid fear, recite Ayatul Kursi. Now, let's begin our stories. This story is quite long. If you like it, please do share it. We used to think that we were under the influence of spirits and jinn. But as time passed, we realized that it wasn't jinn. It was the effects of black magic. And there were jinn sent by someone that turned our lives into hell. We used to live in an old compound. That place wasn't officially leased, and there was a legal case going on with the owner. But suddenly, a settlement happened. The owner paid not just us, but everyone living there. However, we received the largest amount because our settlement was bigger. On the surface, no one said anything, but deep down, no one was truly happy. We didn't pay much attention to it. We booked a flat that was still under construction, so temporarily we had to live in a rented place. We moved into that rented flat, and that's where our lives completely changed. Our financial condition had been very strong before, but after moving into that house, everything slowly began to fall apart. Then, gradually, strange things started happening. It felt like something was living with us. Many incidents occurred there, some so terrifying that even now, that I still cannot even tell. If I ever get the chance, I will narrate those incidents as well in full detail. But at that time, I was quite young. However, the things that happened while I was fully conscious, what directly happened to me, I am telling you that now. Whatever was there troubled us so much that we decided we had to leave that house immediately. Mom and Dad spoke to the building owner. We had already been living there on rent for 1.5 years. We told him to give us possession. The building was still under construction, and the strange thing was that before us, no one had shifted there. But even then, we moved in. We had istikara done for that house. We had protective bindings done so that whatever was there would not come with us, and we arranged a Quran recitation. It was the year 2008. We shifted to a new place. The house felt like a part of heaven. The entire building was empty, a strange kind of peace, so much peace that it felt like we had arrived in heaven. Obviously, after going through so much hardship, when we got that house, we felt relief. But we had absolutely no idea that this relief was the silence before the storm. The first 4 to 5 months passed very peacefully. The building also became fully occupied. It had only been 6 months since we moved in when one night everything changed. We had a small keypad mobile phone. One day, an unknown call came on it. The number was not visible on the screen at all, which was astonishing. How could that be? My sister answered the phone. Complete silence on the other side. After some time, the call came again. This time, Mom answered, and from the other side of the phone came a growling sound, so deep that it didn't feel like a human. Mom cut the call and kept the mobile with herself so that no one could answer again. Then this became a daily routine. For 2 or 3 days, the same thing happened. One day, Mom was in the kitchen, and suddenly she felt that someone was standing right behind her. Mom turned around, and in front of her eyes there was a burned foot, half inside the kitchen, half outside, pressed against the wall as if standing attached to the wall with only the foot extended forward. Then, in a single jolt, that foot disappeared. Whenever my sister and Mom went alone into the kitchen, sometimes a hand, sometimes a burned foot would appear and then disappear. But they didn't tell us anything. They would only say, "Don't sit alone, don't sleep alone." We couldn't understand what had suddenly happened to Mom. One night I fell asleep lying in the drawing room. I was sleeping when suddenly someone pushed me very hard. I was completely shaken. When I opened my eyes, the entire room was empty. The push was so powerful that I panicked. But thinking it was just imagination, I went back to sleep because my sleep was very deep. After a while, someone grabbed my hand and jerked it with full force to the other side. I was genuinely shaken. This time, I clearly felt that someone was with me. Out of fear, I ran straight to Mom. I told her everything, but Mom only said that nothing happens. "It's just imagination, and I told you not to sleep alone." Then she made me lie down with her. And that night, for the first time, I felt that we were not alone in this house. That night is still fresh in my mind even today. I was in the bedroom. The door was closed. A song was playing on the TV. Everything was completely normal until my eyes fell on the corner of the room. There, a shadow-like presence was standing. Blurry, completely blurry. Like when someone takes off their glasses and everything becomes blurred. Exactly like that blur, except for the place where that shadow was standing. The room was clearly visible, but the corner was strangely blurred. I kept looking at it, trying to understand what this thing was. And then the shadow started to move. First a little, then slowly, gradually, it began moving straight toward me. That blurred corner was now right in front of me. I was sitting on the sofa, and that thing was right in front of my eyes, silent, lifeless. Even now, I can't believe what I was seeing. My body froze. My breath got stuck, as if someone had pulled the soul out of a living person. And then, brother Adnan, that shadow turned off the TV button. The clicking sound of that button drained the color from my soul. As soon as the TV turned off, I became completely like stone. My body wouldn't move. A few seconds later, that shadow turned off the room light. There was a clear sound of the switch being pressed, and then complete darkness, as soon as the room drowned in darkness. I don't know from where courage came into me. I pushed and, without looking back, ran straight out of the house. Mom and my sisters ran after me. While panting, I kept telling them everything. Mom got angry. "Didn't I tell you to pray? You listen to songs. You disobey Allah. This is what happens." Then she calmed the matter down. But fear was hidden in her eyes. When Allah is displeased, such things happen. Pray. Don't listen to songs. But I knew that whatever was in my room that night was not human. Still, because I was young, I wasn't completely sure. Mom made me understand that Allah explains things like this to sinners, so that they correct themselves. What I'm about to tell you now, maybe that would have been my last day. It was my mistake, maybe my final mistake. Allah saved me. My cousin was exactly my age. We had a fight because of which we were not speaking. Her elder sister's wedding was coming up, but I didn't want to go there. I clearly told everyone at home that I wouldn't go. Mom tried to explain a lot, but I kept insisting. Mom said, "How will you stay alone in the house? Don't be stubborn." Still, I didn't agree. Finally, Mom told my elder brother as well. "He isn't going. You stay home too and come back early from work." Mom kept trying until the very last moment. She even ironed my clothes. There was a strange kind of fear in her eyes. At 9:00 at night, Dad snapped at Mom. "You've spoiled him. Leave him here and let's go. Otherwise, you stay here too." Mom turned on the gas light, even though in our area the electricity never used to go out. Mom said, "Go downstairs, go to your friends. When your brother comes, then come back up." After hearing Dad's scolding, I sat there in anger. Mom called my brother. "We are leaving. Come home quickly." Then Mom, Dad, my brother, and my sisters all got ready and left. Just 5 minutes after they left, I heard the sound of walking coming from the room. At first, I thought it was just imagination. I closed the doors of both bedrooms and the drawing room. I came and sat in the TV lounge. Then the light went out. My life nearly left my body because the electricity in our house never went out. The gas light was on, so it didn't become completely dark. I sat pressed against the wall next to the balcony. "Brother Adnan, it is very long but not wide. There is only space to stand there, and its door is made of mirror glass." Then I heard the sound of laughing coming from the room. I panicked. I listened carefully to figure out where the sound was coming from. Then from the bedroom, I started hearing the voices of 2 or 3 people talking, like someone was angry, arguing. There was no one in the house. My blood froze. After a while, the voices stopped. Then from under the closed bedroom door, such cold air started coming that I was shocked. No air was coming from the balcony, and I myself had closed the bedroom door. Even then, from that small gap under the door, such strong air came, and then a sound came. This time, a growling sound. I thought I should leave the house, but I couldn't go to the main gate. It was extremely dark there. I didn't have the courage to go out because near the gate it was dark, and after stepping out of the gate, there was deep silence across the entire floor. Then the wind started blowing so fast, as if a storm was coming. I completely lost my senses, and then the door opened with a bang. The closed room door was opened with such force that the sound echoed through the entire house. From that door, such a strong wind came, and 2 or 3 people came running toward me. I didn't even see them, not even for 1 second. Just from that dark room, 3 beings lunged toward me. I ran, entered the balcony, and shut the glass door. My breathing stopped. I was standing there, holding the door tightly after closing it. Now those figures were standing right behind me, extremely close to the door. I didn't have the courage to turn around and look. They started shaking the door. The glass began to tremble. I was shaking completely. I was screaming, but no words were coming out of my mouth. I was just standing there holding the door. For 2 or 3 minutes, I kept feeling that someone was standing behind me. Then suddenly, that movement stopped. 5 to 10 minutes later, my breathing returned, but I still didn't look back. When I saw the neighbors from the balcony, life returned to my body, and at that very moment the lights came back on. But I didn't go inside. I stood there crying. After a short while, the doorbell rang. My brother kept calling out. I didn't have the courage to open the door. My brother himself used the key to open the door, and I was standing stuck silently against the balcony door. Many incidents like this kept happening during that time. Whatever thing had entered our house was very angry and was showing itself from every side. But one night the strangest of all happened, things that we perhaps could not even imagine. My younger brother, mom, and my sister were lying in the bedroom. Talking and joking were going on. Suddenly, someone turned off the room's light switch and darkness spread through the entire room. We all were shocked. Mom turned the light back on and said, "It turned off because of the wind." I said, "Mom, how can a button turn off because of wind?" I had an idea because all that had already happened with me. Mom changed the topic. There were strange expressions on Mom's and my sister's faces, but then joking started again. I jokingly said to my younger brother, "Mom gave you lentils and I got biryani that came from the neighbor's house. You won't get any." My younger brother was only 8 years old. He started complaining to Mom. I started making fun of him and teasing him. "Mom loves me, not you." He was lying in Mom's lap and suddenly started crying. Mom began scolding me and trying to quiet him. But suddenly he pushed Mom very hard. Everyone was stunned. Mom said, "Son," but his tone had completely changed. Brother Adnan, he started using abuses that no normal child could ever say. Mom tried to grab him, but he was completely out of control. Just then, Dad came. He picked him up in his arms and took him to the TV lounge, but he was not conscious. After a while, he passed out. He was sitting in fear in the corner of the room. What happened next was later told to me by my brother and sister. As soon as my younger brother passed out, Mom looked toward me. I was sitting there with a red face from anger. Dad said, "Son, what happened to you?" And suddenly I attacked my own face. Mom started crying, and because my age was young, Dad tried to control me, but I was not coming under his control either. My sister, terrified, ran out of the house. Crying, she brought the neighbors. The whole building was filled with noise. Everyone gathered in our house, and I was uncontrollable. I was saying, "I will not leave them now. They cleverly left me there. I will destroy them." Meaning, you understand who was trying to say what to whom. Everyone grabbed me, put me into a van, and took me to a shrine. After that, the process of attendance and rituals continued for both me and my brother. One day, our neighbor called a religious scholar to the house. He confronted that thing within my brother and me. He asked, "What is your name? Where did you come from?" At first, there was no answer. Then he recited something. As soon as he recited, I said, "My name is Ramdas." And for my brother, he mentioned another name, which I don't remember now. We said, "We have been with them for a long time. Someone sent us. Now we will not go anywhere. We will leave only after killing them and destroying them." These people cleverly left us there. They had left us there and had also blocked our path to come back. Then that scholar asked, "How did you come here?" Ramdas said, "Their father once came into this area. We saw him, and while following him, we reached here. Now we will not leave. Do whatever you want." Even after this, many more incidents happened. Times even more dangerous came. So now I will narrate all that as well. If you like the story, please do share it. We are still fighting such things even today. May Allah guide those people who, out of jealousy, ruin the lives of others. God knows what they gain by sending magic and such things, causing pain to people. May Allah guide them, and may Allah grant relief to those who have gone through such problems. Amen. So this was my story. I hope you will surely share it on your channel. Thank you very much for sharing your story with us. Let's move on to another story. Today, I am going to share one of my stories with you, something that still keeps happening to me. But often, there are no answers as to why it happens to me. My parents and I do not believe in amulets or magic practices. We consider them wrong. If there is any problem, we try to find a solution through recitation of Quranic verses. But my sister and my mother believe in these things. I am 22 years old. I live in Rawalpindi while our roots are from Quetta. The house we had there also had jinn with us, and even their children. They never caused us any harm, but their presence was often felt. At that time, I was very young, so I don't remember everything clearly. But I heard from my grandmother and mother that those children used to do mischief, like hiding things that were placed somewhere, then putting them back, sometimes closing a door, sometimes opening it, sometimes tampering with the lights, sometimes something else. These were small, minor things. Once my grandmother scolded them in anger. Because of that, they pushed my grandmother down the stairs, and her shoulder bone was dislocated. After that, nothing happened again. Then we came to Rawalpindi. We stayed at one place for a few years, and then in 2013, when I was about 9 or 10 years old, I often started feeling as if something was with me. The presence of someone could be felt. Everywhere, it felt like someone was watching. Then in 2013, it was the month of May, when we shifted into a house in Rawalpindi. It was said that earlier this place was completely like a jungle. Now population has developed here, and when we came here, many houses had already been built around, but in some places there were still deserted areas. Anyway, when we came into that house, there were random nails hammered into the walls everywhere, meaning places where no frame or anything could be hung. And the door that opens from the small corridor into the TV lounge, above it, there was a ventilator window. In that, we found some amulets on which it was written that the presence of jinn was forbidden. Be stopped, and along with it there was a black-colored cloth attached, nailed in with a very thick nail. The owner of the house had forbidden removing it. Now the layout of the house is like this. The lower floor has a TV lounge, kitchen, drawing room, dining area, and one bedroom. The upper floor is built in the same way, where instead of a drawing room there is my room. Instead of a kitchen there is an ironing room and one brother's room. Above that floor there is a storeroom, a bathroom, and the roof. The window of my room opens into the street, and in front of it there is a large old jamun tree. On the side, there is a lawn with a mango tree, and along with it 2 very old and dense trees. Now I don't know why, but whenever I go to a place where the effects of those beings are present, I start feeling it as soon as I arrive there, and sometimes my health also becomes bad. A few days after coming into that house, I became very sick. All of us thought that the house had changed. It was tiredness, and that's why I got sick. But I had a strange kind of fear. Everyone kept saying that there is nothing, you're just getting scared like that. But until then, nothing obvious had happened. But here too, it often happened that if we placed something somewhere, it would disappear right in front of us. And then months later it would be found in the same place. Then suddenly, the matter comes to 2016 when I had my operation. In the operation theater, it felt to me as if I was conscious. 4 or 5 people from the doctor's team were standing there, and among them, in black shadow-like forms, many people were standing. Maybe this sounds very strange to listeners, but this is the truth. At that very moment, I regained consciousness in the operation theater. The surgery had already been done. I kept trying to get up, but because of anesthesia, I couldn't get up. I was laid on my left side when suddenly a voice came from behind. "We are with you. Nothing will happen to you. Don't be afraid." After hearing this voice, I kept trying to look back, but I couldn't turn. I had no strength in me. After that, I stayed one night in the hospital and then came home. At home, I told this to my sister. I told my mother. Everyone said it must have been imagination. Things feel like that during unconsciousness. Nothing happens, and the matter was dismissed. After this, often I felt as if I was about to fall from somewhere, and immediately someone caught me and saved me. Even now, sometimes this still happens. To the point that once, all of us family members were going to Lahore by road. Near Kalar Kahar, our car went out of control. The speed was so high that the car could have fallen into a ditch. But by Allah's will, something happened. The car came to the edge and stopped in such a way as if someone had lifted it slightly above the ground and then placed it back. Like in childhood, when a small toy car is moving and someone picks it up. Even today, no one finds this easy to believe. Similarly, my sister got admission to a university in Lahore. She went there to study. In 2016, when my operation happened just a few weeks after that, I started getting very strange dreams. The dreams were such that every day, in my dreams, I would see some person like. I used to see someone whom I had never seen in real life. In the dream, it would be the first time I was seeing him, as if I had met him before, or sometimes I would be in some trouble and he would save me from there. Once I had a dream that I was in a graveyard. There were many people there. I was running away from them thinking they would harm me. Then a new face appeared. He took me away from there. I was not harmed. And the person whose face I saw in my dreams, either the very next day or a few days later, I would definitely see that same face in real life, and there would be a strange smile on his face. I shared this with my sister over the phone because at that time she was in Lahore, but like always, everyone called it imagination. You think too much, there is nothing. The matter ended there. Still, this cycle continued for some time. Then it stopped. I am telling all these small, old things because they kept forming a chain. I am leaving out many things in between because otherwise the whole matter would become very long. This is just a brief mention of small incidents. Now the matter comes to 2018 when I was in ninth grade. Earlier, my sister and I used to share the same room. Now I was alone. It was vacation time. In those days, I had a habit of staying awake late at night. I was watching a movie on my mobile phone. It was around 3:00 a.m. Suddenly, the upper storage cover of my wardrobe opened forcefully. I got extremely scared. I looked in that direction, but there was nothing. It stayed like that for a while. Then I started using my mobile again, when I suddenly felt as if someone had come and sat on the bed with me. Brother, I was completely numb. I didn't have the courage to turn around and see who was on my right side. Just then, I heard the sound of breathing. Silence in the room, nighttime, and the sound of breathing. I felt like this would be the end of me today. I immediately started reciting Ayatul Kursi, and suddenly it felt as if someone, in great anger, kicked my bed very hard. My bed at that time was made of iron. That sound echoed once throughout the entire room. Anyway, I gathered courage. I got up, and when I looked at the bed, the design that was on it was actually pushed inward, pressed down. Somehow, I passed that time. The time for Fajr came. I prayed. My mother also woke up. I told her everything. She performed a protective prayer over me and recited Ayatul Kursi. A few days later, I was sitting like this again, arranging my room. It was nighttime, and along with that, I was listening on my mobile to a recitation by Junaid Jamshed, because I liked it very much. Anyway, I wrapped up my work, turned off the lights, and lay down to sleep. I was almost asleep when I felt as if someone lightly slapped me. I suddenly opened my eyes and sat up. Immediately, from the window on the side of my feet, a sound came from behind the curtain. Those who once slept on velvet are now sleeping in the soil. and that sound felt as if someone had torn my soul out from inside me. I collapsed instantly, overwhelmed by sheer terror and panic. The room was completely dark. Only a faint light was coming in through the window. In that dim light, I clearly felt as if a shadow passed by. My condition became very bad. I tried to recite Ayatul Kursi, but I couldn't. In that state of fear, my mind went numb. I couldn't understand anything. Somehow, I forced myself to regain control. I recited Ayatul Kursi, then the four quls, and played Surah Baqarah on my mobile phone at full volume. As soon as I felt a little strength return, I ran from there straight to my mother. I was extremely frightened. After that, I developed a severe fever that lasted for several days. Then I started sleeping downstairs in the TV lounge. One day, I very clearly felt that someone was standing at the TV lounge window, watching me, a black shadow. I immediately called out to my mother, but there was nothing there. Everything vanished right in front of my eyes. Later, my sister had summer vacation and returned from Lahore. We have a habit that every day after the Isha prayer, my sister, my mother, and I sit on the rooftop and talk. That night, we were sitting as usual when I felt as if someone was standing on the rooftop of the house in front of ours, and that figure was much taller than a normal human being. I was still looking at it when suddenly my sister screamed. When I turned to look at her, she was completely soaked, as if someone had poured a full bucket of water over her. But my mother and I were sitting right beside her. We didn't hear the sound of any water falling. Not a single drop touched us. Normally, if that much water had fallen, there would have been splashes on the people sitting nearby, and the ground would have been wet too. But there was nothing. Only my sister was drenched. My mother immediately told her to recite Ayatul Kursi and the four quls, and then go take a bath. As we were taking her downstairs, suddenly 3 or 4 very large bats started circling the exact spot where my sister had been standing. My mother and sister went inside. I stayed behind to close the rooftop door. As I was closing it, I glanced toward the water tap area on the neighboring house's roof, where the water tanks are installed. There, I saw a strange shadow, something that looked like a mix between an animal and a human, sitting there and peeking at us. On the other side, those same bats were circling. I immediately recited Ayatul Kursi, shut the door, and ran downstairs. My sister bathed. My mother performed dumb on her, recited prayers over water, and sprinkled it throughout the house. She recited prayers on every doorway and then closed them. The next night, my sister and I were sitting together talking, when suddenly my sister began crying and screaming in pain. When I looked at her, my heart was shaken. Even today, when I remember that moment, my body starts trembling. Her face was twisting unnaturally. The upper part and her jaw were pulling to the right, while the lower part was pulling to the left. She was screaming in agony, as if life itself was draining out of her body. We immediately called our father. He came, and we recited Ayatul Kursi over her and performed dumb. We kept doing it for a long time. We kept reciting the verses over her. Slowly, little by little, her condition improved. She was extremely shaken. After that, in that state, a prayer slipped from her heart. "O Allah, whoever is doing this to me, show it back to them." After that, she began having strange dreams. Birds were attacking her. From that point on, she became very afraid of birds. Later, she continued reciting certain verses daily, and because of that, many of the troubles she was facing reduced significantly. But seeing strange things still did not completely stop. One day we were all on the rooftop. It was Ramadan. We were sitting after offering Tarawih prayers. I looked up at the sky and saw something very large and white flying. I immediately said, "Look at that, what is flying?" My brother and I could see it clearly, but my mother and sister could not. That thing was so huge that compared to it, we felt like grains of sand. It passed right over us and then disappeared. My brother and I were stunned, wondering what we had just seen. Ramadan passed, Eid passed, then Eid al-Adha arrived. 2 days before Eid, my mother brought a goat and tied it outside in the courtyard. That day, my mother and I spent almost the entire day cleaning. Around 1:00 a.m., we finally finished, took showers, and went to sleep. Suddenly, we heard the sound of very heavy rain. We thought about the goat tied outside and worried it might get soaked. I was just about to get up to bring it inside when my mother also came. My mother and I went outside together. She stood behind me while I went near the gate to untie the goat. Our gate has long vertical bars with gaps between them so you can clearly see outside. Right then, I clearly saw something like a man running past in front of us. My mother saw it too. We thought maybe someone was running home to escape the rain. But suddenly, it passed again, this time running in the opposite direction. I untied the rope and started taking the goat inside. I looked through the gate again and saw it run past once more. Water was flowing heavily through the street. If a human runs against the flow of water, their speed can't be that fast, and it's impossible to run without making splashing sounds. But there was no sound, no footsteps, no water splashing, nothing at all. Now my mother became frightened and thought it might be a thief. She told me to come inside. I took the goat upstairs and tied it in the storage area. My mother said, "You got soaked in the rain. Wipe the rooftop so it dries." I went outside and started using the wiper. While doing that, I looked down through the grill, and I saw a very tall man with eyes red like they were filled with blood. He came running and then went straight into the wall ahead and vanished. I immediately told my mother. She told me to come inside at once. I went inside. Because of the rain, I was completely drenched. I said I would take a shower, but I was scared, so I told my mother to stay in the room and that I'd be right back. While I was showering, suddenly I began hearing the screams of many women. I called out, "Amy, what happened? Who are these women screaming at this hour? What's going on?" My mother replied, "What screams? There's no sound here." At that moment, I understood immediately. This was something else entirely. When I came out, my mother performed dumb on me. I fell asleep, but by morning I had a very high fever. Again and again, even with my eyes open, I kept seeing scenes, as if the shadow I had seen that night was burning and people were standing around it. I couldn't understand what was happening to me. My Eid passed like that, in illness and confusion. Then one night, I was sleeping in my room when my condition suddenly worsened. It felt as if someone was calling out to me. As soon as I opened my eyes, a strange state came over me. I couldn't move at all. I was experiencing sleep paralysis. I looked to my right, and standing in front of me was a very tall man, so tall that his head was touching the ceiling. He was standing there watching me. I had no idea what to do. I couldn't move my body at all. Then suddenly, he disappeared and my condition slowly improved. After a short while, the call for Fajr prayer was heard. I got up and offered my prayer. Now this next part is from 2023. By then, I had become used to all of this. Sometimes something would happen, sometimes I would see something. I wasn't afraid anymore. Small things kept happening regularly. I would almost always see or sense something. One night while I was sleeping, I had a dream. The same person I had seen during sleep paralysis appeared again. He told me, "You will not be harmed by us. We have been with you for a very long time. We began staying here to protect you. We are not imprisoned, Jinn. We came with our own will and will always remain with you. But the scene you were shown of beings burning was real. because one of them tried to harm you. That was the one you freed by removing the nail. At this point, I should explain something. I had mentioned earlier that there were nails driven into many places around the house. Almost everywhere there was at least one nail. Especially near the door of our storage room, there was a nail that always felt strange. While passing by, I would often bump into it and injure my arm. Eventually, I pulled that nail out. Coming back to what he was saying, he continued, "We are not just 2 or 4, we are an entire clan. But besides us, there are others here as well. Some were occupying this house and had been bound. If they are freed, they can cause serious harm." I asked them, "Why are you with me? Why are you protecting me?" They only said, "We will not let you be harmed. Whenever you need us, you can call us. We will appear before you in one form or another, and you will recognize us." Then they told me their name. Suddenly, I woke up. At that moment, it felt as if I hadn't seen a dream at all, as if everything had happened in reality. This continued for some time, the feeling of their presence, sometimes a faint, sweet fragrance, sometimes nothing visible at all. They would always tell me to recite Durud. I began reciting it constantly. And then one day, everything suddenly stopped. Complete silence. No feelings, no signs. And that, more than anything else, was what unsettled me the most. There was a constant restlessness inside me, wondering why they weren't coming anymore, why I could no longer feel their presence. That uneasiness stayed with me for many months. Now in 2025, some friends and I made a plan through our university to go on an outing. Our entire group went toward Jabri. By the time we were returning, it was already Maghrib. We stopped at one place, a small roadside dhaba, thinking we'd eat something. All around us were mountains, nothing but mountains. I needed to wash my hands, so I asked the dhaba owner. He said, "Go upstairs, up the stairs. There's a tap there." When I went up, tall mountains surrounded the place from every side. During the day, the view had looked beautiful, but at night it felt terrifying. I washed my hands, and as soon as I turned back, a man was standing in front of me. He was wrapped in a white shawl. I got scared, but he told me his name and said, "It's me, don't be afraid." He then said, "I've come to tell you that severe harm has been sent toward your parents by someone close to you." At that moment, I didn't understand anything. Just then, one of my friends came upstairs and said, "What are you doing here? Come down, the food is here. This place feels strange anyway, and you're standing alone. What are you looking at?" I turned back, and that man was gone. I came downstairs with my friend. A few days later, my father's health suddenly worsened. He became seriously ill. Fluid accumulated in his lungs, then he suffered a heart attack. All of this happened within 6 months. The doctors had nearly given up. My father, who had been fully active and healthy, ended up completely bedridden. Then they came to me again. My father was in the ICU. My mother would stay with him at night, and I would sit outside in the waiting area. One night, I was sitting there alone when I again felt their presence. They told me that something had been buried somewhere inside our house and that it had to be removed. Because of that buried object, they could not enter our home. Even when I called them, they were unable to come. Something was stopping them. They said they had gone near it, but were warned that if they interfered, they would be imprisoned by those people. They even told me that a tawiz had been found inside the mattress of my father's ICU bed. When I told my mother, she contacted a Mufti Sahib. He was called to the house. When the spot was dug up, bones, hair, and nails were found. Astagfirullah. He said it was a deadly act of black magic, meant to completely destroy the household. My father went through an extremely difficult time, but now, alhamdulillah, he is better. Ruqya is done on him daily. All the Tawi's bones and bundles were removed and discarded. After that, everything began to improve, alhamdulillah. And the ones who did this were my own maternal aunts. Some peace finally returned. But now, for the past 3 days, something strange has been happening again. My head feels heavy as if there's pressure. My shoulders feel burdened. And the night before last, while I was sleeping, I felt exactly as if someone had. My throat felt as if it had been pressed, and suddenly a fever would come and then vanish immediately. When I asked them, they said it was my maternal aunts. They were repeatedly trying to harm us but couldn't succeed. I also heard that both of them are losing their minds. They are acting strangely and doing bizarre things. I can't understand what's happening to them. Maybe it's turning back on them. Only Allah knows best. So that was my story. Please pray for my family, and I pray for those on whom such dark acts are carried out. I have complete empathy for them because I know the pain and suffering this causes. This happened to us, and I know how it feels. I hope you share this story on your channel. My full sympathy goes to families like mine and everyone who has gone through or is going through such experiences. May Allah grant them health and guidance, and may He guide those who intentionally harm others and bring suffering into their lives. If someone has wealth, a good home, or blessings and you envy them or are jealous, remember, jealousy is displeasing to Allah. Instead, be thankful and content. Everything has its time, good or bad. Life tests us, and it is all part of Allah's plan. Always stay satisfied with His will, and never envy others. Friends, tell me, which of the 2 stories today did you like the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. And to hear more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you liked them, give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe and press the bell icon to turn on all notifications. This way, you'll become part of my YouTube family and get updates whenever I post a new story. Take care and Allah Hafiz. Story 2, The Ghost Pizza Call. Imagine you are lying in your room, carrying sleep, i.e. half asleep, and the room's light is off. Then you feel a kind of rustling in your room and your eyes open. In that dark room, a jet black thing, somewhat human-like, is standing with its head bent near your face, looking at you. Think about what condition you would be in. Your life would be at risk. There are some such incidents that happen with people, and people share them with me. If you are interested in hearing such incidents, you can continue with this story. And if you feel scared, then recite Ayat al-Kursi, because it is said that when we mention these creatures a lot, they come very close to us and start listening to what we say. So, if you don't want to feel scared, recite Ayat al-Kursi. Let's move on to my stories. My name is Umar and I am 30 years old. And the thing I am going to tell you is from about 4 years ago. At that time, I was working in a pizza delivery company in Islamabad. I cannot mention the brand name with permission, but I mostly did night shifts because they paid a little extra. Some tips and such would come. Honestly, it was enough to make a good living. This incident happened in a society in Islamabad, a very well-known and famous society. It was newly built at the time and completely deserted. Some houses were still being constructed, some were complete. Very few people lived there. I apologize, I cannot share the society's name here. Some houses had families, while the rest of the area had empty plots, unfinished houses, and dark streets stretching far away. I mean a place where it is fine during the day, but at night, even a person would be scared of themselves. This incident is from a winter day. It was so cold that even breath came out as smoke. I was wearing a sweater under my jacket, a t-shirt, muffler, gloves, everything. Even under my helmet I had a cap. Still, the cold was going into my bones. That night it was around 2:00 a.m. There weren't too many orders coming to the shop. I was standing near the counter looking at my mobile when suddenly my rider app showed a new order. I picked up my phone and saw the location. I thought to myself, this is that society. I was very surprised. Anyway, I had to take the order. The order was for a large bungalow, 2 large pizzas, garlic bread and cold drinks, etc. I told the kitchen guys the order. In 5 to 7 minutes, everything was ready. I placed the boxes in a thermal bag, wore my helmet and started the bike. As soon as I left, the customer called. "Hello son, are you the rider?" "Yes sir, I am the delivery boy." He said, "Yes, our house is at the very end of the sector. I have sent the location. You just need to follow it and come back." When I answered yes, he continued, "Listen to one thing. Do not come from the street behind our house. You must come only from the front street." I said, "All right, sir. I'll come by following the location." He said, "Yes, the house number is written on the front. And one more thing." His voice suddenly changed like he was making sure. "Just remember, not from the back street." I laughed and said, "All right, sir, I won't come from the back." The call ended. I placed the phone in the holder and headed out. At that time, traffic on the city roads was almost completely gone. From far away, you could hear dogs barking. Empty signals, empty roads, just me, my bike, and the cold air. Wherever I looked, there was only darkness. At such a time, a person naturally becomes more alert. I increased my speed a little so I could deliver quickly and return quickly. Within a short time, I reached that society, completely drowned in darkness. As soon as I entered, the streets were deserted, unfinished houses on both sides. Some had iron rods sticking out. Some had incomplete walls. A few houses had dim lights, and the rest was pure darkness. I kept following the location. On my phone screen, a small blue dot moved ahead and I followed behind it. At one point, the map signaled me to turn left. I turned. Then I entered another narrow street. I couldn't understand whether this was the front side or the back side, because I had never come this deep into the society before. Finally, the map showed the message, "You have arrived." I stopped the bike and looked around. This looked like the back line of the houses. The wall in front of me looked like the backside of a house. There was no house number written anywhere. A street light was on one side, but near this wall the light was so dim that I could barely see the door and gate. The gate was rusty. On top were iron grills, and behind them I could see a completely dark lawn. I took out my phone, checked the number, and started calling the customer. It rang 2 or 3 times, but no one answered. I thought to myself, he was just telling me to come from the front, and now he's not answering the phone. At that moment, I heard faint voices from behind me, as if someone was talking on an upper floor or a rooftop. The voices weren't clear, but they were loud enough for me to realize that 2 people were talking to each other. I thought maybe this was the house and they were inside. I went toward the rusty gate and lightly knocked with my hand. I could already see that it was locked, but I thought maybe they would open it from inside. As soon as I knocked, the voices from inside suddenly stopped. Complete silence. I also pressed the doorbell attached to the gate, which was covered in dust. The bell rang very loudly. The sound came out medium, like no one had pressed it for years. The bell rang, then silence. No one, no footsteps, nothing. My heart skipped a slight beat. I looked up. On the window glass, it seemed like a shadow moved for a moment, like someone peeked from behind the curtain and then went back. Up to this point, I could think maybe no one inside had heard me, but the clear voices I had heard a little while ago were really disturbing me. I called the customer again. This time, too, the call didn't go through. I opened the ride app, checked the order details, and there was an emergency note. If we don't answer the phone, please leave the pizza under the gate. We will pay online. Immediately, I remembered what the customer had said over the phone. Do not come from the back street. I took a long breath. I really was standing on the back street. Now a strange tension was building up. The house in front didn't look inhabited from outside. Mud on the walls, rust on the gate, and some kind of brush or debris below. It looked like no one had been here for months. I moved a little forward and backward, looking at the houses. On the right, there was another wall with a number written on it, but it didn't match the order's house number. On the left, just empty plots, and a little farther, an incomplete house. I came back and stood in front of the same gate. The cold was so intense that even inside my gloves, my hands felt numb. I took out my phone from my pocket and checked that number on WhatsApp. Maybe they were online, but no sign. While I was thinking all this, a strange thing happened. From inside the gate toward the ground, it sounded like someone lightly threw a stone. There was a thud and the gate shook slightly. I jumped. Immediately, I bent down and looked toward the ground, thinking maybe it was a dog, a cat, something. But below there were only dry leaves, dust, and darkness. No animal was visible. I stood upright, and suddenly from above, it was as if someone laughed very quietly, very mildly. This laugh didn't sound human. It sounded like someone was laughing with their mouth covered, or from a distant locked room. I looked again toward the upper window. There was nothing, only darkness. Now I was really scared. But then my mind quickly switched to practical mode. I'm a poor guy. I can't skip the delivery. If the order is canceled on the way back, the loss is mine, fuel, time, everything. I strengthened myself a little and stood near my bike. I opened my phone and called the customer again. After several rings, the call connected. On the other side was the same man. His breath sounded heavy, like he was speaking after running. "Hello, brother, have you arrived?" I said in a slightly normal tone. "Yes, sir, I'm at the location, but ma'am sent me to the back street. There's a closed house in front. The gate is rusty. I rang the bell. I knocked too, but no one came." Then he suddenly went completely silent. Then he spoke in a very serious tone. "You are standing in the back street." I said, "Yes, sir, the map brought me here." His voice changed completely. Panic tone. "Brother, move away from there immediately. How many times have I told you not to come from the back street? Move a little forward right now. Cross the street and come onto the main road. I'm on my way too. Do not stand there at all." My heart was already racing. I quickly said, "Sir, all right, what happened?" He just kept saying, "We'll tell you later, just get out of there now. I'll reach in 5 minutes. Please just leave that street." I said, "Okay, sir, fine." I hung up and started the bike. Even while riding, my heart wouldn't calm down. I couldn't just leave like this. But to be honest, I was already tired of standing there. I moved a little forward. As I was about to cross that street, something completely accidental happened. As soon as I turned, my eyes went once again toward that gate. This time, I clearly saw a shadow standing behind the grill of the gate. It looked like a person, tall, standing completely straight, face not visible. Only a slight white thing was visible above, maybe a face or some cloth. But the strange part was, it wasn't moving at all. It was as if someone had placed a statue there. Out of instinct, I immediately looked away. I tried to convince myself. Maybe it's just my imagination, maybe it's a play of light, or maybe someone is standing inside. But the lock was engaged. I had already checked myself. I crossed the street and stopped the bike on the main roadside. There was a slightly open area where in the distance, lights of 2 or 3 houses were visible. I checked the pizza box again, tried to calm myself, but my hands were still slightly shaking. After about 2 to 3 minutes, car lights appeared in the distance. A car quickly turned toward this side and stopped a little ahead. A man came out of the car, around 45 years old, wearing a jacket, a scarf, with slightly white hair, and quickly approached me. "You must be the writer," he said. "Yes, sir," I replied. I quickly looked around as if checking for anything. Then he said, "Which street were you in just now? The back one?" "Yes, sir, the map took me there," I said. I was standing right in front of the door where the gate was rusty. I even knocked and rang the bell. As soon as he heard this, his face went a little pale. He said, "Who told you to ring the bell?" I said, confused, "Sir, I thought maybe this was your house. I even heard voices inside." He said in a mix of slight anger and fear, "Brother, we left that house years ago. That was our old house. Now there is no house of ours on the back street at all. We live in the front bungalow. Look, this is our house." He pointed toward the large, well-lit building in front. He pointed. On the main gate, the number was clearly written, the same one that was on the order. I had simply never come to that side because the map had turned me toward the back side. It felt like all the strength had left my legs. I just kept staring at his face. Hesitating, I said, "Sir," I could even hear people talking from inside. There was laughter too. He immediately said, "That's enough. The amount of time you've already spent there is more than enough. Come here quickly. I'll take the pizza. Then I'll tell you a few things, but never use that street again, especially at night." Slowly, I walked with him toward the front gate. I took the pizza boxes out of the thermal bag. He counted them, paid, gave a tip, then took me slightly to the side and said, "Son, you seem new here. Maybe you don't know one thing. The house in front of which you were standing, there wasn't even a house there before." I said in shock, "Then what was there, sir?" He took a slow breath and said, "There was a very large old tree there. When we bought that plot, the tree was standing exactly at the spot where that backside house is built now. Some elderly people from the neighborhood even warned us not to cut that tree. They said Jinn lived in it. We ignored it, thinking it was old-fashioned thinking." I listened silently. He continued, "When construction started, the very first thing we did was cut that tree. From the day it fell, the problem started. The laborers said that at night, someone watches them from above. Sometimes the ladder moves by itself. Sometimes tools fall to the ground even though no one is there. One mason clearly said he saw a woman-like shadow standing on the half-cut trunk of the tree for a few moments, then disappearing in the blink of an eye. We laughed it off, thinking they were creating drama to get extra money." He paused for a moment, then said, "Anyway, the house was completed and we moved in. For the first few days, everything was normal. Then slowly, things began. At night, around 2 or 3 a.m., we would hear footsteps on the roof, like someone was walking very slowly. Sometimes a light pressure would be felt, as if something heavy had been placed on the roof. Door handles started moving on their own. At night, kitchen utensils would shake, and when we checked, no one was there. The children started saying that at night, someone sits in their room and breathes, but when the lights are turned on, there's no one. Once or twice, Even we felt that after Isha prayer, someone was sitting in the lounge, but nothing was visible except a shadow. I asked involuntarily, "Then what did you people do?" He said, "At first, we thought it was just imagination, but when the situation got worse, we called a religious scholar. After reciting the Quran, he told us that the place where this house was built, there was once. There was a tree, and on that tree there was a family of jinn. They clearly said, 'You cut off their shelter. Now they might share with you. If they compromise, that's one thing. Otherwise, you will have to step back yourself.' For a few days, reciting the Azan, Surah al-Baqarah, Ayatul Kursi, and so on, made things slightly lighter, but they never fully stopped. Sometimes at night, someone would call a child's name in a soft voice. Sometimes someone would descend the stairs, and we would feel that someone else was descending behind them, but no one was visible." He spoke carefully. Eventually, it got to a point where the wife firmly refused to live there. The children's health also began to worsen: fevers, frightening dreams, waking up screaming in the night. Then we sent them out. The new residents also didn't stay long, a few months, maybe a year or two, and then they left. Now the place is just locked. The gate is rusting. Whoever passes through that street at night definitely feels something." He looked me in the eyes and said, "That's why I always tell every rider the same thing. Don't use the back street, especially at night, because even though we left that place, whoever was removed from there has perhaps not completely gone." I stood silently, just staring at him. A cold shiver ran down my spine. In my mind, that laughter, the gate, the shadow, everything started coming back together. I thought to myself, I will never go back to that street. He gave a faint smile, but even in that smile there was seriousness. "This is life advice. Work, earn your lawful income, but it's better to keep distance from some places. My name is Imran. I live in Pune, India. This incident happened last year when I was doing night shift pizza delivery. I have always liked the night time, less traffic, quick orders, and more deliveries in less time. But brother, what happened that night I can never forget. That night around 11:00 p.m. an order came. The location just said, Vijay Heights Tower B, top floor. At least bring cigarettes also. Reading that made me laugh at first. Often during night shifts, people would order extra items like cigarettes, cold drinks, or tea. So I put 2 cigarettes aside and headed out. I was surprised when I saw the app. The location was about 20 minutes away from the city in a deserted area. There had been an old construction project there. Now half the building was built, half still under construction. As I got closer, the streets were empty, streetlights few, and the cold wind silent. In front of me, a large building appeared. A signboard read, Vijay Heights. The entire building was engulfed in darkness. Only on the top floor, a faint yellow light flickered like an old bulb. When I reached the building gate, a boy called me from upstairs. Brother, come by the lift. Don't forget the cigarettes on the top floor. There was a strange urgency in his voice, as if he was afraid I might change my mind and leave. The gate was already open. There was no one at the reception. Concrete dust on the floor, broken tiles, and from somewhere far away, a rattling sound like an old fan. At the elevator, there was a rusted button. I pressed it. The lift came down slowly as if an old man was breathing. The doors opened. Mirrors on 3 sides, but the mirrors were dirty. I stepped inside and pressed the top floor button. The lift started going up. At every floor, a strange sound came from the lift. It felt very old, like it badly needed servicing. But when it reached the 4th floor, the lift jerked. The light went off for a moment, then came back on. I thought maybe it's just an old lift and didn't think much of it. When the lift reached the 6th floor, it suddenly stopped. The door opened halfway, then closed by itself. Then it opened again, as if some invisible hand was opening and closing it. A cold wave ran through my body. At that moment, my phone rang. It was the same number from the order. "Brother, where are you? You still haven't come." I said, "Brother, the lift has reached here. The door keeps opening and closing." There was silence on the other side. Then his voice came, slightly lower. "Don't come by the lift. Come by the stairs. Come quickly." There was fear in his voice, not restlessness, but fear. I stepped out of the lift. The door closed by itself again. The 6th floor was completely drowned in darkness. Only from a hanging wire came a faint blue light flickering on and off. Broken bricks on the floor, cement bags, loose wires, and in some places, the sound of water dripping. It wasn't just silence. There was a dull heaviness, like someone's weight pressing on the floor. I turned on my phone's flashlight and started looking for the stairs. But the strange thing was, there were doors, but none of them opened. During that time, I again heard footsteps, slow and heavy, like someone barefoot walking behind me. I turned around. There was nothing. The phone rang again. "Brother, hurry up. The stairs are on the right side." Without thinking, I turned my phone light to the right. The stairs were there, but completely swallowed by pitch darkness, so dark that even my phone's flashlight felt weak. I took a deep breath and stepped forward. Then I heard another sound, someone breathing, but not like a human, heavy breathing as if someone's chest was filled with water. My blood froze. I tried to calm myself. Just go up, deliver the pizza, and leave. But my heart wasn't ready to agree. I grabbed the first stair rail and pointed my phone light ahead. The stairs going upward were completely dark, as if even light was afraid to enter there. First step, second step. Every step echoed, even though these were just empty concrete stairs. I thought maybe wind was blowing from outside, but something felt wrong. The thing was, there was absolutely no airflow inside. This time the voice was not like before. "Brother, come on up. We're waiting upstairs." The voice sounded torn, like someone's throat was damaged. I said, "Brother, which floor are you on?" "7," he replied. "Yes, come quickly." But this time, behind his voice, there was another breath. Someone else was standing close to the phone. Not speaking, just breathing, heavy breathing, wet breathing. A chill ran through my entire body. I kept climbing. With every step, I felt like someone was also stepping behind me, but slower than my pace. 3 steady footsteps behind me. I flashed my light backward. Nothing. But the sound didn't stop, as if someone was standing in the darkness watching me. Finally, I reached the 7th floor. Where there should have been light, there was nothing. Just a large iron door with words written on it. "Call center, no entry." Below it, someone had scratched out and written, "Keep door closed." From under the door, a faint blue light was leaking out, like an LED monitor was running inside. My hands were soaked with sweat. Pizza bag in one hand, phone in the other, I knocked on the door. No response at first. Then I heard the sound of a chair scraping inside, and someone slowly, very slowly, came closer to the door. My breath stopped. I said again, "Brother, the pizza is here." From the other side, someone took a soft breath. Then a voice came, but it was not the same voice from the phone. "Come inside." It was the voice of an old man. On the phone, it sounded like a young guy. My heartbeat exploded. I turned the latch, the door opened. Inside, the entire floor was dark. Only 4 computers were turned on, glowing blue like old CCTV displays. Chairs, old headphones, files, half-finished cups of tea, scattered papers. But no human being. I shouted, "Brother, who placed the order?" Silence. Then suddenly I heard that same elevator sound again. The door opening and closing, opening and closing. But I was up here. I had left the lift downstairs. Cold ran down my spine. One computer screen flickered. On it, only one line was written. "Look behind you." My legs gave out. My heart jumped into my throat. In my ears, I heard a strange noise, as if 50 people were breathing at the same time. I didn't have the courage to turn around. Then my phone rang. With shaking hands, I answered it. The same voice, but now whispering. "Brother, whatever happens, don't look behind you." My blood froze. At that exact moment, a chair rotated by itself, as if someone had moved it. I heard 2 footsteps right behind me, extremely close. I closed my eyes. I paused for 2 seconds, took a deep breath, and told myself, just walk to the door, then run. I took 1 step forward, and then icy fingers were placed on my shoulder, colder than ice. A scream escaped my mouth, but no sound came out. Nothing came out. My throat locked up. I ran. I blasted my phone's full flashlight toward the door and sprinted. The door started closing by itself, but the pizza bag got stuck in it and I dragged myself out. Bam! The door slammed shut in one violent jerk. At that exact moment, the elevator came up on its own, no button pressed. And from inside it, my own voice was playing. "Brother, don't come by the lift." I screamed and ran toward the stairs. After going down a few floors, I felt someone coming down behind me again. Same speed, same steps, copying my breathing. I kept running downward. My breath gave out. Then suddenly, on one floor, all the lights turned on at once. Old tiles, broken fans, and in the distance the same elevator sound, opening, closing, opening, closing. My phone rang one last time. The voice wasn't the same anymore. It felt like it was speaking inside my ear. "Brother, you've come downstairs. Don't forget the cigarette pack." The same line, but the voice was someone else. I stopped for 1 second. Every light on the floor shut off at the exact same moment. The darkness was so thick, I could only hear my own breathing. I snapped my flashlight on fast. The light spread across the walls, white damp stains and the sharp smell of raw cement. The footsteps behind me didn't stop. Now there was breathing with them, very close, right behind me. That breathing was not human. It sounded like it was coming from a deep well, or like someone trying to breathe underwater. I took a long step toward the stairs and ran. On every floor behind the walls, it felt like something was running on all fours. Not human, faster than a human, but invisible. I reached the 6th floor. The same wire was hanging there. The blue bulb flickered again and again. At that moment, dripping sounds started from somewhere. Drops hitting the floor. The sound on cement felt different from everything else. My phone rang again, this time from a different number. With shaking hands, I answered. No breathing on the other side. Only one sound. The elevator bell. The same bell, like someone was standing outside the lift downstairs, pressing the button again and again. I couldn't understand whether all this was being done by one person, or something else. I ran faster. 7 to 6. 6 to 5. 5 to 4. And then 4 to 3. On the third floor, suddenly, the lights came on, like the floor came alive. There was only one door. Written on it in chalk, "Stay quiet." My heart started pounding even harder. I thought, what kind of joke is this? But the writing didn't look fresh. It felt like someone had written it years ago in a hurry and left it there. I stepped closer and pressed my ear to the door. From behind it, I heard whispering. "He's here." The voice wasn't human. It sounded like an old tape recorder playing. At that moment, from far away, I heard a girl crying, very weak. "Help, is anyone here? Help, is anyone here?" I froze. A shiver ran through my body. But in that voice, there was something. It was strange. There was a clash in the words, as if the same sentence was being recorded again and again. "Help, is anyone here?" Then suddenly that voice became loud, so loud that it started echoing in my ears. "Help!" I was stunned. Without thinking, I started running. Finally, I reached the ground floor. The guard room light was on. The door was half open. I ran inside and shouted, "Brother guard, is anyone here? Please, if anyone is here, answer me." For a few moments, there was silence. Then from a corner inside, I heard the sound of a chair scraping. I pointed my mobile light in that direction. An old man was sitting there, white hair, deep shadows under his eyes as if he hadn't slept for many nights. He spoke very slowly. "Who sent you upstairs?" Panting, I said, "Brother, there was a pizza order from the call center on the 7th floor." The old man took a deep breath. Then he shook his head slightly, as if he understood everything. "Sit and wait a bit." I refused, but he had already poured a glass from a thermos and placed it in front of me. There was a light smell of tea. It felt real. "You come here at night now," he said. "This place should be left at night, son. When real people say this line, it's not drama. It's a warning." I didn't know what to say. Gathering some courage, I asked, "Who is upstairs? Who made the call? Is there really a call center there?" The old man took a long, nervous breath. Then he said, "There was a call center, not anymore." There was no unnecessary fear in his voice. He spoke like he was telling facts. Not a ghost story, an accident. In Pune, a new call center was built. Vijay Heights, year 2017, night shift. 6 boys worked there. I was the guard here even then. I asked, "What happened to them?" He took a sip from the bottle. "That moment was real, brother. One night around 1:30 a.m., the elevator was going up. It got stuck on the 6th floor. The door wouldn't open. The boys were trapped inside. They were stuck in that elevator for days. All their throats dried up." He ran his finger across his throat, explaining how their breathing stopped. I immediately asked, "Did the police come? The fire brigade?" He said, "They came, but by then it was too late. They cut the elevator door with tools, but all 4 were already dead. 2 of them had tried to break the door. Their hands were injured. Blood had dried inside. These were post-mortem type details. They didn't feel fake. Not dramatic, just as cruel as reality is." After that, he said, the owner shut down the entire building. Only the bottom 2 floors were rented out. No one goes upstairs. The elevator has been broken since then. With fear rising inside me, I asked, "Then how did I go upstairs? Whose call was it? Who placed the order?" The guard looked straight into my eyes. "Who comes from upstairs when no one lives there?" I said, but there were people in the voice. They asked for cigarettes. They also told me to come up. The old man stayed completely calm, without blinking. He said, "Yeah, they often ask for such things. Sometimes tea, sometimes cigarettes, sometimes water." He brought his hand closer and said softly, "No order has been placed in 4 years, 10 months, and 3 days. The phone just keeps ringing." This line felt so real that I stopped speaking. I couldn't figure out if this was a drama, an intentional joke, or something else. Even today, I cannot say whether that incident was scary or completely normal, or maybe someone had played a huge trick on me. I remember asking the guard, "Brother, how is all this possible? Even after death, the number calls. There are calls." The guard kept the same silent demeanor. He didn't say anything casual. He didn't use any horror dialogues. He just spoke like a normal person. "Brother, I don't know. Maybe someone pranks. Maybe it's a network issue, but the phone keeps ringing." His words were non-dramatic. He wasn't trying to scare me. He was trying to explain, just like I would. He said, when the accident happened, the company didn't shut down the call center number. There was a landline, a direct exchange line. Maybe that automated system still sometimes calls. This explanation made some sense to me. I asked, "Then who would have written the order for pizza or cigarettes?" He made a face like he was confused too. "Sometimes ghost calls come," he said. "It happens, right? The phone rings. You hear only static noise, then the call disconnects. Not a prank, just a faulty line." My mind drifted. It didn't feel like ghosts, more like a circuit signal or a disconnecting line scenario. I thought, if the line is faulty, how does the address appear in the app? I asked, "Then how does the location come in the app?" The guard said, "I don't know, but it happens often. 2 boys came earlier too, one Swiggy, one Zamato. Both returned the pizza. Call came, they went upstairs, found no one. Pizza got cold, came back." I started to leave. The guard didn't stop me. He didn't say any dramatic line, just an ordinary sentence. "Next time, if a call comes from that number, don't go upstairs. Just return the pizza. Tell the company the address was not found." That was it, plain and simple. I went outside. The night air was cold, the road deserted, only the barking of dogs and the empty, abandoned street. I started my bike. My heart was still beating fast, but my mind was a little calm, like I had some logic figured out, but not completely. The next day, I mentioned it to 2 or 3 riders at the restaurant. I just said, "Hey, have you ever received a call from Vijay Heights building?" One boy immediately said, "Brother, I got a call once at 1:00 a.m. The address was the same. Went upstairs, found no one. Guard told me to take it back." Another said, "I also got a call. I returned the pizza. No payment, just a ghost order." Hearing this, I just went into thought. Even today, I cannot say whether this was a dangerous incident, some non-human thing, or a circuit line glitch. I'm not saying anyone was there. I didn't see anything, but the call definitely came. The lift was stuck and the floor lights went off. This all really happened. I just don't know the reason. And maybe however many pieces of the boy got affected, he never found out. Some incidents happen that have a date but no answer. There's just confusion left about what happened, why it happened, how it happened, who it was, no clue. Now I just do one thing. If I get a call from heights at night, I just reject it. Address not reachable, end of story. So this was my story. I hope your YouTube family likes it and that you will definitely share it on your channel. Thank you very much for sharing the story. Friends, make sure to express your opinion in the comments about which of these two stories you liked more. Take care of yourself. Friends, I hope you liked today's stories. If you like the stories, don't forget to like the video. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe as well. Press the bell icon and turn on all notifications. This way, you will become part of my YouTube family, and my stories notifications will reach you. Take care of yourself, keep me in your prayers, give me permission. We will meet in some other interesting story. Allah Hafiz.